everyone, Susan Stiffelman here. So let's have some fun talking about power struggles. I invited you in my last video to identify your greatest parenting challenge, or the place where you're most likely to have a power struggle. So please leave that in the comment box if you like. And then I suggested you could take this exercise a step further and think about what you might be able to do differently if you had the fairy dust that would make it less likely that that situation would turn into a power struggle with your child. So I want to read your comments, and I think it's great if we can be kind of honest without coming down on ourselves. What I've observed is that even though there are situations that seem like they're always going to be likely candidates for having a power struggle, there are big changes that can happen for the better when we shift the things that are within our control. And one of those things is how we approach the situation. So there are a lot of ways we can approach a situation. Let's say that you'd like your youngster to turn off the screen and come and help you set the table. Pretty common situation. So you can approach that with anger. You know, you're prepping for a fight. You walk into the room, are already ready to, you're mad already. Or you can approach it with ambivalence. You're not really sure if they should have to set the table. So that comes across. Or you can approach the interaction in a place of fear. And, trust me, your kids pick up on that too. So if it's anger, let's talk first, not just about what you're going to do or say, but let's talk about what you're going to be thinking, because what you think is going to influence what you do or say. So you might be thinking, he's going to say no. I know it. He's going to put up a fight. Or she doesn't appreciate anything I do. And there's this great story that I'm going to tell about a guy who wants to borrow his neighbor's lawnmower. You might have heard this. And he wants to borrow his neighbor's lawnmower. So he kind of leaves his house and he sets out to walk next door. And on the way, he's kind of imagining how the conversation might go. And as he does, he's thinking, I've loaned him a lot of things. I've loaned him my clippers. In fact, I think it might have been, nicked when he returned them. And by the way, we've also invited them over a lot more than they've had us over for meals and barbecues. And gosh, remember that time that my wife and we drove their kids to school for a week when they were having car trouble? You know what? He should really loan us. He should be happy to loan us his lawnmower. So by the time you get to the other person's door and you knock on the door to see if you could borrow his lawnmower, you're so internally worked up with all the stories you've been telling that he opens the door and you just don't say a word and punch him in the face. Right? So it's sort of a funny, cute example of how our internal dialogue and the things that we're saying to ourselves can really get in the way of having a successful interaction over an area that might have a little hint or a lot of potential conflict. It doesn't have to. So sometimes that shows up with sarcasm. Do you think your Royal Highness would have time to help your little mommy, set the table? Are you too wonderful and busy? So it's kind of a jab. It's not very friendly. Or it could be hostility. Listen, buddy, I've seen you on that screen. Time to turn it off. Get in the other room and set the table. So you come out with your fists up. Or it could be shame. You shame your child. Do you have any idea how long a day I've had and how hard I've worked? Do you think you could maybe just look up for a few minutes and see what's going on around you and just give a minute of your time or just contribute in some way? So all of those things increase the temperature. They raise the temperature and increase the likelihood that this is not going to go well. That's anger. Another way we sometimes approach our kids is with ambivalence. What you're thinking might be, I'm not sure if I should really be asking him to do it. Especially these days, you might be thinking, this is the only chance he has to connect with his friends. He loves playing the video game so much. I should just let him have that time. So you walk in there and you're not clear about whether your youngster needs to do the thing. You're not the captain of the ship. You don't come across with that aroma of clarity and authority and compassion. Instead, it would be, honey, are you at a stopping point in your game? Do you think you could maybe help me with the setup? I've got just so much to do and I wanted to get a little help with the table. No? Okay, well, you keep having fun. Okay, so that's the ambivalent parent. Then there's fear. We approach our youngster afraid of what's about to happen. And I know a lot of you can relate to that one too. So, oh my God, I can't handle another meltdown. So worn out. And I know that it's going to be intense if I try and make him do this thing and set the table and turn off the screen. So you walk in again, kind of tentatively. Is there any chance that you could? And again, this is the situation where the child is running the show, the child's in charge, ruling by intimidation and fear toward you. So I'd love to read your comments. If you've got something you want to contribute to this conversation, if you can relate to what I've said, if you have another attitude or way that you think you might contribute that I haven't mentioned, please leave it in the comments, or if you can identify with anger or ambivalence or fear. And then again, remember that awareness is the first step to making change. So nothing that I teach ever is about you feeling that you're doing something wrong, or feeling ashamed, or feeling judged, or feeling bad. I deeply believe we're all doing our best. So I'm just here to support you to have more fun, more love, more connection. And by the way, about me, if you don't know my work, I've written the book, Parenting Without Power Struggles and Parenting with Presence. I've been a marriage and family therapist for well over 30 years. I've been a teacher for well over 40 years and an educational therapist. I've spoken all over the world, from Africa to Israel to every Kansas. Like, I've done events with parents from every walk of life, and then of course seen thousands of parents and children in my private practice and in my work now, which is largely virtual, where we have classes and programs and events online that bring parents from all over the world together. And then for many years, I was the paid writer for Huffington Post, and before that, AOL, doing their weekly parenting advice column, as well as Ask the Therapist for grandparents.com. So I've seen a lot. I've seen situations that would, curl your toes in terms of parenting. And for those of you who think, oh, it's too late for me, or I could never make these kinds of changes, I could never have a peaceful kind of low conflict parenting life, please throw that idea away, because in the work that I do, I've seen magnificent changes and shifts happen when parents have the support they need and they're committed to learning and growing. And it just, again, starts with awareness. So please tag a friend if you think they'd benefit from some of this. Please reflect in a loving, kind, compassionate way toward yourself where you think your contribution to the power struggle might benefit from a little bit of tweaking. And make sure you're getting my newsletters, because we're sending out an email that will have a great checklist. It's positive, you guys. It's going to be what's going well in your parenting life, not what's going wrong. So I'm again a big fan of looking at what's going well, because I know parents are so hard on themselves. So make sure that you're getting the newsletter. We've got this checklist that I'd encourage you to fill out to identify your areas of strength, and also the areas where you might want to focus a little bit of attention. And we'll be back here tomorrow. There'll be emails coming all this week. It's all about helping you have fewer power struggles. It's sort of a concentrated dose of this work in small little bite-sized units. And so I encourage you again to take part, watch for the emails, keep track of the videos, make sure you turn on notifications. And if you'd like, tell a friend. We'd love to widen our net and widen our reach. All right, till tomorrow then, enjoy, have fun, and be kind to yourselves.